All right, Cameraman Wes, here we are, podcast and beyond, Steel Horse Thunder. We're in the Steel Horse Thunder Dome. How you doing, man? You beating the heat?
Yes. Not really. It's hot.
Feels pretty good in here, though.
It does feel good in here. The AC's nice in here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're not smoking cigars, so we could close off the ventilation system and actually get it cold in here.
Yeah, it feels pretty good.
Wes, tell me a little bit about this badass beard care that we got going on here.
Badass beard care. It is amazing. It's a veteran-owned company. They make everything in America.
America.
But I mean, it's a great company. They do help a lot of veterans. So when you buy stuff from them, a lot of the proceeds actually go to help veterans out, different causes. But their product is amazing. I mean, you put the oil in and all. I mean,
I like it.
It's some of the best stuff I've ever used.
I like it. Now, I'm looking a little wilted right now because it's been sunny and it's been in the 90s.
Right.
And it's been a long day. So yeah, I'm a little wilted right now. Wait till you see our guests. You think I look wilted. Wait till you see them. Yikes, you know what I'm saying?
I heard they went on a long ride today, so I'm pretty sure they're probably pretty tired.
Yeah, well, you know, for them guys, it's just another day. It's just,
True.
yeah, we're going to roll right around. I don't know, where you want to go? I don't know, Ohio's? Yeah, sure. Why not? Yeah, there's a good grilled cheese sandwich out there somewhere,
Yeah.
so yeah. No, I'm looking forward to hanging with these guys. You know, their family. The history of their family is
I've heard some stories.
Oh my gosh, man, rumor has it, you know, it was like, I don't know, it was 3 or 4 generations ago, like great-great-great-great-grandpa,
Yeah.
you know, wanted for a I think it was a triple homicide in France, you know, so great-great-great-great-great-grandpa Choate left France and he escaped and ended up in South America. And, you know, back in those days, it took you a long time, you know what I'm saying? So you get over to South America, well, eventually they kind of caught up. He made his way through South America. Next thing you know, they're in Central America, and then eventually they're up here in America, you know, the now America. And, just an amazing story. Now, you know, here these guys are, you know, 5, 6 generations later, and still living the dream, the American dream, you know, knowing that, you know, great-great-great-great-great-grandpa Choate got away with the triple homicide and got them established here in America. So that's pretty cool.
That is cool.
It's a lot better story than most of our guests.
I think we should ask them how much of that is factually true.
Oh, no. It's yeah, we don't let facts interfere with good entertainment. Yeah, you don't ever want truth to interfere with any of that. No, it's a pretty good story, and I think it's worth, you know, it's worth keeping up. So, well, what do you say we get them on here and do some talking with them?
Yeah.
Well, I'll probably ask them a little bit about the family history there, but...
I know they got plenty of stories. This might be a long episode. They
got stories. If they can stay awake long enough.
Right.
It's been hot.
Yeah.
All right, what do you say? Should we bring them on?
Yeah, let's get them.
Okie doke. All right, man, we are here, Steel Horse Thunder and Beyond podcast. We are in the Steel Horse Thunder Cafe, indoors, in the air conditioning. Yes, that's right. This week's episode is sponsored by Pabst Blue Ribbon. If you want to be a real American, you drink American beer. Pabst Blue Ribbon. America. All right, man, I am so happy to have you guys on here. I've been wanting to do this ever since we started talking about doing podcasts. It was like, you guys got to be on here. I gotta have you on here. So this has worked out really good. I mean, you guys rode 300 miles just to be here, so that's pretty spectacular.
Yeah, we could have come over earlier, but we said, you know what, let's make it hard.
Yeah. Where is it located at? Okay, well, let's do it by way of Cincinnati. Yeah, it was a good plan, huh? All right, so I got Bill. Okay, it's Choate. Used to be Choate. Now you guys pronounce it Choate?
Choate.
Okay, so it's pronounced Choate now. I understand, with everything that your great-great-great-great-great-grandfather went through, I understand why you would change it up just a little bit.
Yeah, it's been kind of dodgy, you know, kind of dicey. Yeah, we've been running from it for a while. But
I would imagine. And I have Gunnar Choate.
Yep.
So eventually they're going to go back to Choate. You watch. And so, man, I'm just so happy to have you guys on here. You guys, obviously, father and son, I think it's super cool that you guys ride together and do all this kind of stuff. Just for starters, now you guys literally have just finished putting on about 300 miles.
Yeah.
And it is in the 90s. It is sunny. It is hot. It is humid. It is unreal. How you feeling?
A little crispy. A little crispy. A little crispy. We do it again, though. I think.
Tomorrow, right?
Hell night.
Actually, tonight might be the time to do it, in all honesty. Now, I love it. I know you guys ended up riding down by Cincinnati and down in that area and stuff. One of the rides that Cindy and I used to do all the time was I used to love to run down to Madison and then hit Madison and hit the river, run the river up to Lawrenceburg, Indiana, which is shortly before you cross over into Cincinnati, and then kind of make our way back and go through maybe Friendship, Indiana, and all that kind of stuff. That was always one of our favorite rides to do. And I'll be honest, we hardly ever get a chance to ride now. I don't know that I could have done it today in this heat. In all honesty, I really don't know that I could have done it.
It takes a little bit of toll.
It'll take it out of you, that's for sure. I mean,
so let me ask this question. Let's get to this right away. This is what I want to talk about with you guys before we just start talking stories and get another beer or two in us. Let me just ask age. Bill, how old are you?
58.
I'm
Gunnar?
32.
Gunnar, you're 32. I'm just curious. Here's something I have said forever. If we don't do something about getting younger people riding, what we do and what we've known for a lifetime, it's all going to cease to exist. It's, and I'm a little older than you are, so now I'm about to turn 63. Social Security, here I come. It's going to be freaking awesome. And but I'm constantly saying, if we don't have a younger generation, what are we going to do? It's, what do I know? I know we do charity rides. I know the amount of money that we raise. When I say we, I mean motorcyclists in general. Whether you're a biker, whether you're a 1%er, whether you're a club rider, whether you wear a patch, whether you are a solo rider, whatever. We raise so much money every year to help, whether it's an individual or whether it's an organization, whatever. We raise so much money and we do so many good things. And I can't imagine what it would be like to not be able to get a bunch of riders together and do a ride to help raise some money. Gunnar, let me ask you. You're 32 years old.
Yep.
When you're out riding, are there many people your age that you can ride with?
Kind of hit and miss, really. I mean, I got a few buddies that ride, but it's starting to dwindle down. Not as many guys are. Younger guys starting to start families and stuff like that, having kids, and so that's kind of where we kind of, that's kind of what happens there is we ride, and then girlfriends and wives and stuff like that, and they
screw it up. I'm telling you, they will screw it up in a heartbeat. I'm glad to see you've had enough sense to say, kids are way overrated.
Yeah.
I'd rather ride my motorcycle.
Yep. So it's kind of hit and miss, but yeah, it's a lot of people that I used to ride with kind of got rid of their bikes and don't ride as much as they used to, so it gets a little harder. So
I was one of those.
Yeah.
I was in my 20s and had a daughter and moved from Atlanta, Georgia to Indiana, sold the bike in Atlanta, moved up here to Indiana, and then it wasn't but a few months later found out getting ready to have another child.
Yep.
I went 12 years without a motorcycle. 12 years, man. It was like, next thing I know, I'm 38 years old and finally riding again.
Yeah.
And so that does happen. I just find that there's not as many people, younger people, engaging in this, what I call a sport, what I call a lifestyle, a hobby, whatever you want to call it. I can remember the Miracle Ride. We used to do the Miracle Ride all the time. Back in the day, the Indianapolis Colts were always a part of it. Well, the whole front line for the Colts, you're talking Ryan Deem, Tart Glenn, Jeff Saturday, even Howard Mudd, the offensive line coach.
Right.
They all rode. So the Miracle Ride, they were always out there supporting the, you know, Riley's Children's Hospital. They did all this stuff, and I was talking with Jeff Saturday one time after you know, these guys all kind of retired from the NFL, and me and him were doing a thing together. He does a burn camp. Back in the day, I was doing a burn camp here in Indiana, and I remember talking with him. I'm like, dude, what do I have to do to get the Colts players that ride to come out and, you know, do some of the stuff? And he just laughed. He says, God, none of them ride. He goes, none of those. They all play video games.
Yeah.
They don't ride motorcycles. They don't go out. They don't do anything. They don't do that kind of stuff like what we were doing. And then, quite frankly, a lot of contracts won't let you do it now in the NFL. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of these guys, they sign these big contracts. Well, now that the NFL's saying, you ain't riding a motorcycle. Well, I think Ben Roethlisberger kind of, I think he kind of, that might be the Roethlisberger rule right there, because he kind of got beat up pretty bad on a motorcycle.
Like he landed on top of a hood or something, didn't he? Or
he bent a corner post on the windshield with his head.
So yeah, I mean it, and I understand why. You know, I do understand that part of it under contract or whatever. But the fact is, there's just not as many people riding nowadays, and I don't know. What do you see as the solution to that?
I don't know, man. I just, you know, everything goes in phases. You know, it's kind of like the bike deals. I started riding. I was 21. You know, and I bought my bike, and hardly anybody in town had a motorcycle. A few, you know, me and Chuck, you know, and Chuck and Super Dave. Yeah, and we all rode together, and Jim Richards, you know, Bubby, and we all kind of rode together, and that was about it. You know, I mean, there was a few of the older guys that was around, but it's kind of the same deal right there. They were the older guys, we were the young guys coming up, and we was all riding together. But everything, and then it just seemed like a switch clicked, and then the motorcycles all started appearing. And then, I don't know, it was just a few years went by or whatever, and then it just seemed like the bikes all got parked, and then they all bought Corvettes, or they bought, you know, the little cars with the fart mufflers on them and stuff like that, you know, and that was, and that was the new phase, and everybody wanted to be into that. And then it just seems like, you know, it's just everything goes in. But now I see a lot of the guys that ride kind of you see the guys that's my age, they've the ones always been riding, but they just kind of behind the scene riding, you know.
Right.
They go out and ride, and they don't. Now you got a group that's a little younger than us that they're the guys that want to be seen. And they don't do a lot of riding.
like Daytona this year.
Yeah.
It's you know, we've been going down to Daytona for almost 10 years, and every year you see a different.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different this year. We went, and it was night and day from when we used to go. It was.
Is that right?
Yeah,
It's the bikes you couldn't ride them. You couldn't ride them all day. Yeah, and they look good, but you know, a pair of $100 jeans and they don't make you a biker. You know, it's just, and that's what you see now. You see them all. They're customized these bikes out, and which is cool because I'd like to see it, but they're kind of going to a crowd that's dwindling because the old timers don't care about those bikes. You know, they want to see the knuckles and the shovels and the pans and stuff. They want to see those roll out. They don't care about these new bikes that's with a 12-foot fender on them. And you got it's just but that's what was down there.
Yeah.
You got a lot of the big wheels where they cut the neck and everything. They ruined the bike. And because I asked one guy down there, I stopped him. I said, how's that thing handle? He said, straight line like a dream. He said, you get in a corner, it's a nightmare. So they don't. Those guys don't ride. I mean, they're trailer queens, and they sit in the garage and they roll them out for shows and stuff.
Which is okay. I don't have a problem with that. I wouldn't mind having a little bar hopper. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I'd like to put something together that I could just run up to a bike night or whatever, or run up to a bike show. That's all cool.
Right.
But I'm not getting rid of my Road King.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The Road King is going to stay with me, and that's when I'm out riding. I'm on my Road King.
Yeah.
Let me just do that. Usually, the very first question I ask everybody is, "What do you ride?" Now, you guys have multiple motorcycles, so let me just ask you.
I've got my '87 Super Glide that I bought brand new. I still got it, and it's got I put a 113-inch Ultima motor on it years ago. So I mean, and then I've got an '89 Ultra, or not? It's not Ultra. It's an FLH. It's classic. But I like the old stuff. I like my stuff's old. I can't afford the new stuff, so I ride old.
Right.
But
old is a lot easier to fix. Well, I promise you that.
And
it's cool too.
Yeah, old school, and the styling is a lot better. Yeah,
Yeah.
The new bikes I just don't care for. And this kid here, he's went nuts on motorcycles.
Yeah, you've got a few of them now.
Yeah.
So what is your main ride?
My main one is my 2007 Fat Boy. The one the girlfriend likes the most, I have a 03 Road King. That's the one that anytime we go with her, she goes with me, we're taking the Road King for comfort and stuff like that. I have a 1971 Electric Glide. That one was given to me by my grandpa, his dad. And then I have a 57 Flathead.
There's no money in the bank, do you?
Just enough to put gas in them. Just enough to put gas in them.
He's looking for another horse at the stable.
Oh, that's awesome. No, that's all, man. Do it now while you can.
Yeah.
See, that's the difference. Your buddies that went and decided to get married and have babies,
Yep.
they ain't doing that shit.
No.
No, they ain't doing that at all. They're changing diapers while you're out there changing motorcycles. You know what I'm saying? Dude, I think you got it right. I'm pretty sure you figured it out, man.
Well, see, they pushing strollers, and I'm
Told them good.
They push strollers, but I'm pushing the 57 down the sidewalk when it breaks down or something. So that's the difference.
Yeah.
But see, that's what's cool. You have something like that. No, you're probably not going to hop on it and do 300 miles in a day in the scorching heat and all that kind of stuff. But if you want to run that up to a bike night, you want to run that to a bike show or something like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's because I like them both. I like to see some of those amazing customs. Man, I remember the last time, this how long ago it's been since I've been to Daytona. I believe it was 2002. I think it was 2002.
Yeah.
And do you remember the Orange County Chopper, the show?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The dad and the son?
Yep.
I was down there, he was down there, the dad was down there with the Spider-Man bike that he built.
Oh, that's cool.
I went up and talked to him, he's standing there by himself. This was before Orange County Choppers came out.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing the bike, I was like, damn dude, that's pretty awesome. And he's sitting there telling me all about it. Nice as could be. And a year or two later, I'm watching TV and all of a sudden I see this cat and he's got the bike. I'm like, hey, that's the guy I was talking to down in Daytona. And that's the last time I've been to Daytona, so it's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been over 20 years since I've been down there.
It's changed a bunch.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, it's changed. The very first time I went was in '88. I think that was '88, and me and Lynn took my bike down there, and from that time to when. I think then I didn't go back until I took you for your first time.
Yeah, that was 2014.
So, because I was about, in all honesty, I was just about, I was turning into that old guy that the bike sits in the garage, and I just didn't, work and the house and the kids and everything started going, but both of them played sports and stuff, and then it started slowing down a little bit when he was about 16. Or he might have been 15. First time he rode.
I took it out when I was 14.
Oh, 14. He's 14. I was sitting in the garage, cleaning the garage out, doing something. And Lynn was up, she was on the porch or whatever. My bike was sitting out. I moved my bike out to the front of the garage, and it had been sitting kind of in the back. And so he went over and he threw a leg over it, looked over at me, and I was like, so he sat there and he kicked it up. He's 14 years old, And he kicked it up off the kickstand. I said, start. So he fired it up, and he was sitting there, and Lynn's going, don't. I said, and he dropped it in gear, and I just turned around and started doing something like that. Well, he rolled out of the garage on it, and he took it down the road. He took off, and you went about a mile on it, I think, probably maybe half a mile.
Yeah.
He came back, and the bug done bit him then.
Right.
I mean, it was the
Yeah, you know, it's funny because when I first started riding, everybody my age, we all rode on dirt first. You know what I mean? We had my brothers, my two older brothers, they had one of those rough sprint mini bikes.
yeah.
3-horse motor, you pull the rope and away you go, you know, and that was the first thing I ever rode, and I thought, oh my God, this is awesome. Well, then my one of my older brothers, he had bought, back when AMF had Harley Davidson, they made enduro motorcycles. So they made like a little 175, I believe it was a 175 enduro, 125 enduro, something like that. The old AMF bikes, and he bought one of those little enduro motorcycles, and he had that. Looked cool. It had the little peanut tank on there that had the AMF stripes and all that. So he had that, and then he realized he enjoyed riding, so he really wanted something that he could actually ride. And so, man, good call, dude. Good call. I'll take one of those as well.
Buy around.
I'll do that. But so when he ended up with both of those bikes, and he was selling the little baby Harley, I got to ride it. So I used to ride it up onto the, up to the sidewalk and put the for sale sign on it. But then whenever he was, around or whatever, I could hop on that. He'd hop on his, he bought a big bike. I think it was a Honda 350. Again, we're talking way back in the 70s. The 750 was about the biggest bike back in those days as far as your metric bikes.
Right.
If you had a Honda 750, you're going across country. That's what that was for. And my brother got that 350, and I just remember being able to ride with him. Of course, I didn't have a license. I wasn't old enough to have a license yet.
Right.
And being able to drive around and all that kind of stuff and ride on it, and that's when I was like, I want to do this. I want to keep doing this. And in all honesty, when I bought my bike, my Road Kings 2000, that was when Harley was really ramping up for their 03 was going to be their big 100th anniversary, and I know they don't like you to say this, but when they flooded the market, you know what I'm saying? Everything changed after that. But it was like, when I bought mine, you had to wait. I waited 2 years. I put money down in 1998, and I didn't get my bike until 2000. And when I got the motorcycle, as soon as I rode it off the lot, it appreciated $3,000. Because nobody wanted to wait on a motorcycle. They don't want to wait 2 years.
Right.
The only reason I did that was because I knew I could not afford it.
Right.
But I knew I could ride it for a summer and then sell it and make money off of it and say, hey, I got to ride it for a summer. I fell in love with it so much, though. It was like, I got to figure out a way where I can actually keep this thing.
Yeah.
And dear God, it took me 14 years to pay it off. But by golly, I finally did. No, it did. It took a long time. I had to keep refinancing it to get payments down to where I could actually do that and feed my children. But, I've been riding that Road King ever since. And, I'm kind of like you. You bought yours. Yours is actually a lot older than mine, but, buying it in 2000 and
It was funny because when I went down to buy mine, Lynn's got the good stories. I mean, because she's dealt with a lot, with me.
Oh, I can imagine. We have a mutual friend in Super Dave, and I've heard a lot of stories. So, and you knew a different Super Dave than I know.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Thank goodness he changed. Thank goodness if there was ever anybody that needed to meet the Lord, it was him.
Yeah,
I'm glad he met him before he actually met him in person. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think he met him several times because I've been with him a couple of those times, and you have, but I went down to Ellisville when I bought mine, and that's how long ago that's been. I mean, it was Big Red Harley Davidson, Kawasaki, Suzuki, Kubota.
That's actually where I actually ordered mine from there, but they had moved to Bloomington and the new dealership. At the time mine
brown
came
eggs
in.
for sale in there. You could buy eggs and buy eggs and a Harley, and it was crazy. But
Steve and Donna.
Yep, and that's where my father-in-law actually bought his bike through them, and then we ended up buying his bike, Lynn did and she still has this. She still has his '92 Sportster.
Nice.
And but I went because I was real bad about being in between jobs and stuff, because there's always a job out there. You can find another one. But when I bought mine, I went down and filled out the paperwork and ended up with it. And my payments was only $145.40. I'll never forget that. Because that's the first thing I ever bought.
Right.
Right. And we got out in the car after, because I told them, they said, how much you going to put down? And I said, well, I'll probably put $1,500 down on it and stuff. And they said, okay. And Ann was the one, because Ann owned it still after Big Red died.
Okay.
And then Steve and Donna was buying it from her. We get out in the car. And Lynn goes, we got in there, and before she ever started the car, she looked over and she goes, I've seen your bank account. She said, where you getting $1,500? I go, I was going to talk to you about that. So really, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't even be on the one I got.
Oh, God, that's funny. Yeah, I had a friend of mine, he made the comment one time. He's like, Scott, when we're gone, all that's left behind is our stories. That's all that's left behind. You know what I mean? When we get older and we get to the age where we can no longer ride, we can no longer do a lot of those things. I think that's why I see people with dementia and Alzheimer's, and I say it's the worst disease in the world, because you're robbed of everything, even those great memories. You know what I'm saying? When I'm 85 years old, Cameraman Wes is changing my diapers. I want to be able to sit there and laugh about the good times I had. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Seeing you guys roll up, after 300 miles in the scorching heat, scorching sun, red on the face, hair all tattered, and you pull in, I was like, that's how I want to show up to heaven. Yeah. When my time comes, that's how I want to look.
That's what he said.
Right
he's going to come in sliding sideways.
Exactly. I look rough, but boy, what a ride, man. What a ride. And that, to me, is what it really is all about. I tell people all the time, if you want to, and I don't get too preachy on here or anything else, but if you want to honor God, that's how you're supposed to honor God, is by living your life to the fullest. Yeah. You know what I mean? Now, what I consider living my life to the fullest may be different than what you say, or different what somebody else says, and that doesn't matter. My life is my life.
Well, that's
like your life.
That's kind of like with us. That's why we try to go. This country is so beautiful, and there's so much of it to see, and that's why me and him, we try to go
every year.
Yeah, every year someplace.
Different state.
And then it was kind of nice this year. We all went to Daytona, but I was able to take my daughter, my son-in-law, his girlfriend, my wife. We all went as a family down there to Daytona, which seems kind of weird. You take your family, right? Take your family.
Well, they don't know our family though.
Yeah.
Ours a little different. I think we bought out every bar out of every bar we ran out.
But like me and him, we went to Texas, Arizona, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Mississippi, Wisconsin several times, and Iowa, Illinois. We're up in the 30s. Yeah.
When you guys went out, you guys went to Arizona. That was just a few years ago, right?
Yeah. It was back in 21.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's been a few years then. But even like something like that, now do you guys trailer part of the way out there so you can go and do your ride? And
the only reason we trailered out there is because we have such limited time, and so we trailered out there. We don't like to do that, but
nobody likes to do it.
We just had, it was 20, almost 2,500 miles or something. Yeah. We only have
1 week,
week, so we trailered out there, but
we try to, like Arizona. Arizona's so big though, right? That we was able to. Where did we stop at in Arizona?
We stayed in Mesa.
Yeah, I never can remember. See, there's that Alzheimer's thing kicking in at old age. But we stayed in Mesa, and we made that our base. And then every day we'd ride just one direction, go somewhere, and try to see it, And that was
We were pushing like 2,000 miles by the end of the trip.
Yeah,
so.
in a week, you know.
But the reason I brought that up, because Cindy and I, years ago, we had it was a good 2.5 week vacation. And our plan was we were going to run out, do the Badlands, all that stuff, Mount Rushmore, Devil's Tower, Needles Highway, go down into, I wanted to see Glacier and do all that, and then go down to Yellowstone and Jackson Hole. I wanted that whole experience. We had a tragedy in the family that kept us from being able to do that. And then years later, we had an opportunity where we'd be able to do it, didn't have as much time. And my thought at the time we had a van, and we used to camp out of this van all the time. And I thought, I would never do this back in the day, but because of our time schedule, couldn't we just drive out, put the bikes on a trailer, drive out there, and then do the same thing?
Yeah.
We can camp at Yellowstone, and then if we go too far, we end up all the way up at Glacier, up by the Canadian border, up in Montana. Stay the night up there somewhere.
Yeah.
It's a van. It's not like anybody's going to mess with the van. You know what I'm saying? You're in a campsite. Just leave the van there for overnight and then come back. And it was like, and I'm so mad that I didn't do that, because that was the way I could have done it. But back in the day, you don't trailer a bike.
One of the
Because
main
I was
reasons,
such an idiot.
One of the main reasons that we trailered out to Arizona, or if I even do trailer, is because I usually take 2 bikes, and then he'll take his. And I always take my.
I take 2 bikes.
Well,
I would take 3 if the cheap ass would buy a bigger trailer.
I always take my main one, and then I take my 71, which is the one my grandpa gave me, because I always, no matter where we go, I always try to take that bike, because we always tried to take a picture of it and frame it, and then send it back to him, or I make a poster. And so I always, pretty much anytime we go somewhere, if we're going to trailer it, that bike goes along too, just because I send it back to him.
Exactly.
So
he just turned 92 years old.
Wow.
And he's right. When I was little, he had a yeah.
Were you ever little?
He was younger.
I'll buy younger, but little, I don't know.
But he had no knuckle. He had pan heads, and I seen all the pictures when I was little. But my mom, because I've got an older brother, and she's like, well, we can't go as a family on the motorcycle. So she harped him till he sold it, or whatever. But then, as I got older, I seen pictures of me sitting in old pan head and stuff, and really, that's when I was younger. Then my brother, he kind of got hooked in with a crowd and a bunch of bikers from Martinsville, but they were that was the guys behind the scenes. That was the ones I knew, and they weren't out joyriding and stuff, but they was in a club. So I got introduced to those guys at an early age, and so my whole time growing up, especially when I was a teenager, was all about motorcycles. I had to get a motorcycle. I had to, and I was only about 16 or 17. I asked my brother. I said, hey, I found this bike. I said, why don't you go look at it with me? And he said, what is it? I said, it's a Honda. It's a whatever. And he said, I thought you was going to look at a bike. And I was like, well, I can afford this. And he said, save your money till you can afford a Harley. That was what he told me. And I know it's not.
It's not what you're right. It's that you're right.
But at the time, it's like it's what Roberta said. So I waited, and I did. I waited, and I kind of saved up and met Lynn, and she had money.
There you go. There you go.
But
I told all my kids, do not marry for love. Marry for money. You can grow to love somebody. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, but that's just it. It's just, and I think that's where he was lucky, because when he was 6 months old, he was born in January. So the time he was 6 months old, it's finally warm enough, and I stuck him on the bike and I took him for a ride on the bike. You know, he said I'd hold him, and when I come home from work, I'd come pulling in, and Lynn would come carrying him out of the house. He'd hear me coming, and then so she'd take my lunchbox, and I'd set him on my lap, and I'd ride him down the road. He'd fall asleep, you know, and that's from the time he was 6 months old. But we rode when she was pregnant. We was riding, you know, stuff, and then so he's always been on a motorcycle. And then, and same way with my daughter, you know, McKinley. She, you know, she was a little harder to ride. He'd sit up her and ride. She wants to see how the wheels are turning and looking over to the side and everything. But I think that was where he had. It was kind of good for him because, or lucky for him, I'd say, because the motorcycles were there. He, you know, my father-in-law he bought the Sportster when he was born, and.
Lucky or a curse? I don't know which one.
Yeah.
I don't know what
Sometimes it's a curse.
I was saying, keeps you off drugs and stuff. Fixing motorcycles.
Yeah, you want to keep your kids off drugs? Buy them a motorcycle.
Yeah. They'll never have enough money for drugs if they have a motorcycle.
But I mean, it's just, you know, it's been in our family. My uncle rode. Both two of my uncles rode, and I'm not sure, probably all of them did, but they all from Tennessee. They were the Choates that, you know, they made it up to Tennessee.
That's as far as they got.
Yeah, and which, you know, that's kind of good, you know, serial killers or whatever head up to Tennessee and live in the mountains and the sticks and stuff. So, yeah.
Not a bad plan.
Was Lonnie the MP?
No, Bud was.
Bud was the MP.
Yeah.
So they...
Yeah, I had an uncle that was an MP, and he always talked about when they got their leave or whatever, you know, he'd always cover up he military police, but he rode a Harley, and you know, and he'd cover the MP thing up on it and ride it to town.
Nice.
And yeah, my dad was the wild one. I mean, he didn't have a chance. You know, this one here, he yeah,
just kind of born into it, man.
Turned out all right, I think.
Not bad.
Not bad.
Not too bad. I mean, can't find your way to the barber to get your hair cut, but other than that, not too bad. Not too bad. You know, and it's funny because, you know, yes, I've been on a Harley now for the last 24 years, and that was always my dream. I wanted a Harley. I don't have anything against other bikes. I really don't. I rode a Honda forever. I rode a 550, the old 554K. So it had 4 individual pipes coming off. It had a big 4-cylinder motor on it. Again, it was a highway bike. It was a 550. It was a highway bike. Cindy's got a Buell Blast. It's a 500cc, and it's just a single jug, man. It's half a Sportster is what it is. And it's hilarious. I was like, God, my 550 was... I took it out on dirt tracks and everything else. I had problems back in the day. I had some pretty mental issues back in the day. But... I do love all different motorcycles, but for me, the Harley just fit for me. I bought the Harley, and after the first year, I mean, I put 15,000 miles on it in 1 year, that first year, and it was just like, this is me. This and the Road King fits me good. I get people coming up to me all the time. When are you going to get you a Classic? When are you going to get you a Street Glide? When are you going to get you, my God, get rid of that, get you a stereo. I was like, I don't want a stereo.
Right.
Oh, but if you had the Street Glide, you had the fairing. I was like, yeah, the first thing I'm going to do is take the fairing off. So, I don't.
I tell you what, though, Scott, now.
Oh, no, I have to put my windshield on.
I went all them years, and now I got a fairing up there, and I got to say, it's kind of, pussified me, or whatever you want to say it. I kind of, I'm starting to really kind of get.
Need a beer koozie for that?
Nah, that's what brings me back to my manhood right there, right? Drink my PBR.
He stopped drinking White Claws to drink PBR now.
Well, I know. Cindy had all the White Claws ready for you, had all that stuff, and they're like, seriously?
You're not
PBR?
supposed to tell her.
Okay.
You're going to edit that part out, right?
Yeah, for me, I don't like a windshield. I don't like anything in front of me. I want it to be just, and I'm at the age now though. I've noticed there was, we did a ride a few weeks ago, and I've been having issues with, right now I've got some issues with my pectoral muscles or whatever. I tore intercoastal highway something. I don't know what it's called, but it's a mess, and I haven't been able to do a whole lot. I threw the windshield on, and I don't hardly ever ride with the windshield. The only time I ride with the windshield is if I'm doing a long trip. If I'm going off and I'm going to be gone for 10 days, 14 days, I throw the windshield on then, because you know you're going to run into rain, you know you're going to hit elements. It's just part of it.
Oh yeah, was that 2 weeks ago?
We went. No, it's been probably. Yeah,
well, I was thinking we get the rain 2 weeks ago. Though.
Oh yeah, we went down to Rabbit Hash 2 weeks ago, but the week before that, when we were in Illinois, the cicadas.
Oh my God.
Oh man.
Yeah, they got
like
bad.
little torpedoes, man.
Yes.
We don't have nothing here like Illinois had.
We did in 05.
Well,
we had the 1 year where they were horrible, and I kept my windshield on all the time.
We were in Illinois running 80 mile an hour down through there, and I told Lynn, I said, look, I had cicadas landing on me.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm like, and the road was
paintballing.
Yeah, the road was covered with them, man. You get behind a semi, and it just like.
It's the only time you want to tuck in behind a semi is you're trying to, dodging those cicadas and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, they can be bad. I remember shortly after I got my bike, we had them bad here in Indiana, and it was the same way. It was like, dear Lord. But back then, I kept the windshield on most of the time. What happened to me was, I remember my Honda that I had, because all I rode was a motorcycle in Georgia. That's all I had. I didn't have a car. And I remember in wintertime, I finally got a windshield for it. And it actually came across the hand grips too. And it was like, holy shit, this is a game changer right here. This is amazing. And then my Road King came with the quick detached windshield.
He's stuck in winter in Georgia.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude, there was times I was riding, it was 50 degrees outside.
Oh my God, how'd you do it?
Lord. A lot of long johns. No, it is kind of funny. Because down in Georgia, you kind of brag on the fact, I rode all summer.
Yeah.
I rode all summer in Georgia. But
you mean winter?
No, down there is summertime.
Because it's hot.
Down there is super hot.
Okay.
So if you can, you brag more about I rode all summer than I rode all winter.
Okay, I got you.
Winter's not too hard down there.
I got you.
But getting that windshield. Now again, I remember going out there. Now again, these are old bike. I'm talking 70s. You know what I mean? So you got to pull the choke cable up. It's froze. In the morning I go out there. It is froze because I didn't have a garage or anything. I lived in a mobile home. And couldn't pull that up because it was all froze up. So, I mean, there were some cold mornings. But after using the windshield, it was like, oh my God, this is so much nicer. And then for the first, I don't know how many years with the Road King, my windshield stayed on all the time. Super Dave would give me crap about it. Some other friends would give me crap about it. But it was like, God, it's just so much nicer. And then one summer we had a brutally hot summer, kind of like what we got going on this year. And I just remember it was like, I took the windshield off. I was like, it's just too damn hot. And I took the windshield off, and after a week or so, or 2 weeks of riding without the windshield, dude, as soon as I threw that windshield back on, I hated it. Absolutely hated it, and I haven't rode with it since. But because of my age now, my back, all that kind of stuff, I found that if I throw the windshield on, I just do a lot better. Now with the beard, it's a pain in the butt because it likes to. My beard's long enough where it sits up here. Without the windshield, it just blows straight back. No problem.
Right.
With the windshield, everything comes up. So I try to braid it or I try to do something with it to hold it down. But I've gotten now where it's like, if I have to ride with the windshield, I'd rather ride with the windshield than not ride at all. And so there is a time coming. I might. All these years I put off having a street glide because I don't want a bat wing. I may end up buying a bat wing just so I can, quick detach one, just so I can throw it on.
I still roll the old super glide out every once in a while just to, because there's nothing like the feel. Well, that's the thing. When we go someplace like Arizona, I always take a super glide. I took it to Texas. And then
everywhere.
Yeah, I took it everywhere we go.
That's all I usually ever see you on. Yeah. On occasion, I see you on the bagger.
Yeah,
but not too often.
The only two places you've taken the bagger is North Carolina.
Yeah,
because Mom, and then Florida.
Because Mom.
Because Mom.
Because Mom.
Damn it, Mom.
God, women always ruining everything.
Well, but the the Super Glide though, man, we used to come across Texas, and he's going. Gunnar pulls up next to me and goes, "Hey, you got to pull over." So I pull over, and my belt guard was pretty much, it was flopping around stuff. So I tore it off and threw it in the trash over there in Texas.
100 miles later,
stop again. Stop! Your tail light's falling off. So I stopped and I went in a place and I busted gorilla tape and I taped my tail light back on.
It ain't nothing rolling into, we try to hit like Harley shops on the way. Like we kind of plan our trips. Like, so say we go to Texas or something, we'll purposely plan our trip on Harley stop,
right?
Or Harley shops. And it ain't nothing to go out there and he gets on it, click, 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 and then it goes hard and goes back. And then they go, we're like, oh, okay, there it goes.
Here we go.
But it's funny because he's got a certain pair of shoes he wants to wear when he's in this state, because that pair of shoes needs to touch that soil.
Gotcha.
And that's me, man. I wear my Chuck Taylors and stuff, but I don't know. It's just kind of weird, it's sentimental stuff. It's things that, because that Super Glide, it's been to Canada twice. I rode to Canada twice.
Right.
I rode to Sturgis. I hauled at a lot of places because I'm old and I'm fat, and the bike probably wouldn't make it a lot of the places. But we done. When we went to Texas, was it Arkansas?
We stayed in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, yeah. It was Oklahoma, Mississippi, and Texas, right?
No, it was Oklahoma and Texas.
Oklahoma, Texas.
Yeah.
Oh, it was Louisiana went to that we stayed at.
Mississippi, and then Hot Springs, Arkansas.
Yeah, Hot Springs, oh my God.
That's a good spot.
I was so disappointed in that. I gotta be honest now. Cindy and I rode, we were doing a thing out in Oklahoma, and we've been wanting to go to New Orleans. So we rode down to New Orleans. She booked 2 nights at a bed and breakfast in New Orleans. And she's like, "Well, do you mind staying at a bed?" I said, "No. But when we leave there, we're going to ride a minimum 500 miles so I can blow the gayness off of me as we're riding down the road."
Oh.
Dude. Oh, God. I love the place. This bed and breakfast was the coolest place I've ever stayed in my life, because they're like, "We ain't cooking you breakfast. I'm telling you that right now. There's the kitchen. If you want to cook something for breakfast, help yourself." Well, no, we don't do any of that stuff. You don't have to be here for certain meals, none of that stuff. And he had a pool area, and he had a pop machine out there, and the bottom button, I forget what it was, Bud Light, whatever it was, Miller Lite, whatever it was. But so I was like, so it's $1 beer night every night out here at the pool. Dude, we stayed 4 days. We booked it for 2 nights. We stayed 4 nights. It was the best time we ever had. But when I left there, we were going to go out to Texas, but it was 106 degrees. It'd been that way the whole time we were there. By the time we left, we were so dehydrated. The last night, we hit it up pretty heavy. We finally get on the road at noon because Cindy lost the keys to her motorcycle because they'd been parked for 4 days. We never touched them. We walked everywhere. So we finally get back on the road again. Dude, 3.5 hours. I think we went about 20 miles.
Yeah.
3.5. It's like we're stopping every 10 minutes. I gotta get a drink. It was like I was done. I pulled in. I was like, "There's a McDonald's, a Super 8, and a gas station. I'm done. We're doing laundry today.
Yeah.
This is the laundry day. We're not traveling anymore." But then we got up early the next morning, and instead of going into Texas, because I wanted to go up through Austin, Texas, and all that, it was so freaking hot. It was like, just head north. And so then I was like, "Oh, we're going to Arkansas. We'll get up in the mountains. That'll be cool. Let's go to Hot Springs."
Oh, no.
I've always wanted to go to Hot Springs. Dear God, I'm expecting this, I don't know, like nature and forest.
Crackheads.
And it was like,
Crackheads.
it was like, dear Lord. And it was almost like pulling into a Gatlinburg or into a Nashville, Indiana, or a big
what you should have done is you should have went about a block farther south in Hot Springs, where I picked. That's what he was going to say. If I pick places to stay,
he picks places. You might as well. It's probably cleaner if you just sleep on the ground, like outside somewhere. These places he picks. So we take turns. We take turns. Like whenever we stole, like one night it's his turn. I'm cool with camping. So like you know, my hotel. If we're gonna stay at a hotel, I don't want to pull it back and there'll be Band-Aids laying it. He don't care about that kind of crap.
Just sweep them off.
Yeah, he just sweep. I'm like, this is bull crap, you know, like so. This one time it was his turn to buy. We were in. Where was it? Were we? I don't know if it was Louisiana or where it was, but
all right.
I think we were in Louisiana, and it was his turn to buy, and he I don't know, he found this place, and he called them, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll be outside, we'll be ready for you. So that already tells you they don't get much service. They're like, we're outside, we'll see when you pull in. So that we come pulling into this place, and right across there's 2 truck stops and a sex shop right next to it. Two truck stops and a sex shop.
Dear diary. Jackpot.
And I didn't know this, so we come rolling in, and I look at this place, and they're in the window waving at us. I rolled my ass right back out, and nope. They went. So we stayed at a red roof inn with a blue roof.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, a few miles down.
I'm what you call frugal.
Right. Because you grew up in the day where you could find a nice mom and pop hotel for $35 for the night, $40 for the night.
Mom and pop.
Oh my God, yeah.
And you stayed at one of those little places, and everything was cool.
Nowadays, if it's $25.99, you know, and you're putting your boots on top of the bed, you know, it's just you got a problem.
See, me and him, everybody thinks we're kind of crazy because when we go, well, if we get ready to go someplace, we pick a destination where we're going to go. And it's like Arizona. So, like Louisiana. So we go, we find our spot that we're going to stop at, and I find a place to park a trailer and RV place or whatever,
right.
Storage. Excuse me. And we park it, unload, and then we're seat of our pants the rest of the way. We don't have any reservations. We have nothing. We just ride till we're tired, and we always find a room. You know, it's just kind of one of them deals where it's like my nephew. It was his bachelor party, and he wanted to go down. He wanted to go down to Kentucky, and he wanted to ride that Red Gorge,
Red River Gorge,
not a tunnel, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So we went down there. We didn't have any, and he's the type of guy that he wants everything. You know, it's kind of planned out and everything like that. Me and him, we're by the seat of our pants, and so I had my son-in-law with us and one of his buddies. And we get down there, man. He's like, okay, what room? You know, where's our room at? And I go, I don't know. We'll find one. So we stop in a bar and ask somebody, hey, where's a good place to stay at right here?
He's like, what are we doing? I don't know. We'll figure something out.
It's just, here we go.
And you never know what you're going to find. I mean,
you get a good story out of it.
Exactly.
And that's what you talk about, the story.
Exactly.
We've never had a trip yet. Even the weekend runs that we do and stuff,
whether good or bad.
But there's always
a story. Yes.
And it's memorable. It's memorable.
Cameraman Wes, you got any good stories about staying in super cheap hotels on a motorcycle ride?
Super cheap hotels and campgrounds built on railroad tracks.
Oh, that's happened to me. Yeah, that was in Canada.
Dude, there is no. Well, it was in Canada.
The railroad put campgrounds on railroad tracks.
The railroad tracks was in Canada.
And
it was like
2 o'clock in the morning at the horn. They go booger,
and next thing you know, there's just a bright light shining through your tent, and it's like, son of a bitch! I don't even feel the tracks under me, but dear God, we're on the tracks right now.
And 2 o'clock in the morning, you're naked standing up in a tent that's about that tall, and
we didn't even get that far. We just hugged. We just gave a hug. Sorry, dude. Picked the wrong place.
Or you passed out in the Canadian campground.
We're going to see Jesus.
In Indiana, or in Florida.
Well, yeah, that happened to him. Well, I couldn't find him down Daytona. We're staying at Cackleberry down there, and I couldn't find him. I walked around, and right over there, I see this big Canadian flag flying and all these RVs. And these guys got Little Canada down there, and they got a fire pit and all this kind of stuff. And I look over, and he's the only one there, and he's sitting in a chair all slumped over. So I go over there and I said, hey, come on, buddy, come on. This Canadian guy comes out and goes, oh no, let him stay. He's fine. He's fine. We'll take care of him.
You ever woke up drunk? You look up and you see a Canadian flag and go, what the hell?
Shit. Okay, how far did I ride?
Wow.
Man, we hit it hard last night. I don't remember, like 2,000 miles.
God, I remember that time though up in Canada, and it was like, holy crap. I mean, it scared us to death. I thought for sure we're on the railroad tracks. I had no idea because it looked like it was coming through the tent. And then I remember the next day, I was like, man, you need to warn some people about the damn train right there on the other side of those bushes. And she points up, freaking the entire inside of the store, the entire thing was a mural. And I could see exactly where we were camping at, right by the railroad tracks. She's just like, well, it's right there. And I was like, I'll be darned. It is right there.
What happened to me? Me and her was riding through Canada. I stopped at a KOA. That's back in the day when it was like $7.
Right.
You poked the money in the little slot, and then you go get your spot. And I went back here, and I was setting the tent up, and the train was literally from here to the wall over there, and it went by. And I was like, oh my God, but the place was packed, but we was back in the low primitive area and stuff. And there was a guy over, and I said, man, that's great. I said, this train, he goes, he's a Canadian guy, and he's like, oh man, he said, I stay here all the time with the kids and stuff. He goes, that's the second time that train's went through, and he said it won't go through anymore. He said it's done. So I was like, great, So we go out and we're sightseeing, doing all that stuff. We come back, it's dark, and we pull back to our spot, get in bed for the night. Like I said, it's about 2 o'clock in the morning. All of a sudden it went right. I mean, and like
he knew
right
what he
there.
was doing. He knew what he was doing.
He knew what he was doing.
Oh, he was laughing his ass off.
And that tent I had was literally about like the one I.
He said a damn Sam squitch. He's just Sam squitch in the campsite.
So I'm in Canada, buck naked, standing outside my tent, going, "What in the world?"
You scared him too. He scared you. You scared him.
What in the world?
The hell I wake up.
There's somebody that believes in Sasquatch right now up in Canada. Say, no, I've seen it. I've seen it. You don't want to see that ever again. Oh,
retired.
Too funny. Tell me a little bit about your electric ride. Electric glide.
So my grandpa, he's had it since, he got it in like 82, 88.
Yeah, he bought it in 88.
So he got it in 88 off of a deal, and a guy owed some money or whatever. He did some work for him, paid him with the motorcycle, and that was his main bike since the.
Yeah, that's the first bike he'd had since
the knuckles and pans and all that stuff, since he started riding again. I always stayed with him, when I was younger and stuff, and that bike always sat in his garage. And kind of like what my dad said, he got cancer and he had a stroke and all that stuff. He didn't trust himself riding it no more. So he kind of just, like he said, he just kind of put it in the back of his garage and piled stuff on top of it. He didn't want to see it no more. So me and you got it out, rolled it down, rolled it in his garage. They lived right next to, we just rolled it down the driveway and rolled it in my dad's garage. My grandpa always said, that's your bike whenever you start, if you ever want to ride, whatever, it's yours. So when I started riding, I finally, I ended up getting a new job, the job that I have now, and saved up some money. And I told Dad one day, I just kind of sprung on him like, hey, I'm gonna take the bike and I want it gone through, and I want to start riding it, So we took it down to a guy before we met Crambo. This was a guy before we met Crambo. This guy is kind of how led me into meeting Crambo and my relationship with him and everything. So so just ever since then, ride it when I can. Breaks down and we just keep going. But so that's kind of that's kind of the story with that. Is he gave it to me, and then once we got it going, and we went over to the BMV, he signed it over to me, and said, "Here you go." And the rest is kind of history with that.
Now, for people who are just listening to us on what exactly motor, all that kind of stuff on?
Everything's original. The only thing that's not original is we put an SNS carb off of his old motor just to get it going. So
it's a 1200. It's a 1200 shovel.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Everything's original on it. So other than tires. So,
God, I hope not.
Well, and when my dad bought the bike, he kind of sprung out on me because I bought my bike in '87, brand new, and I rode it home. Mom naturally started crying right when I rode up on the carport and showed it to him. My dad was smiling. He knew I wasn't far off from having one. And my mom, she did not want to see me get one because she knew how my dad was back in the day. And but I took I brought my bike home. I told my dad, take it down the road. So Dad rode my bike down the road and come back, and he was smiling. So it was a few weeks, or it was probably a few months later or whatever. And he goes, one day he come got me and he said, "Hey," he said, "come on, I need you to go with me or something." I was like, "All right, you know." So we went up to Mooresville because I had taken I was building my house and I'd rented a compactor or something from Hopkins Sand and Gravel. They had a rental place there, and Dad took it back for me because I was working. So Dad took it back for me. He seen that bike sitting in the back there. He said, "Hey, what's the story on that bike?" And that guy said, "Same deal. You know, the guy owed me some money and I done some dozer work." He said, Dad said, "What do you want for it?" He said, "Well, I'll give it to you for what he owes me on the bill." Excuse me. So Dad said, "All right." Well, Dad didn't tell me. So he took me up there, and we pulled up in front of what was sitting outside. So I told Dad, I said, "You bought a bike?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "I bought that old thing." I said, "Well," I said, "all right." I said, "Be real easy. This thing had the original square tires on it, man. You know, for people who don't know what square tires are, the old tires were straight down, straight across, and it had good gear, straight tread on them." And I told Dad, I said, "Well, take it easy." I said, "Them tires are pretty old on it and stuff." He said, "Well, I ain't riding it, you're riding."
Not to cut you off, but that 71 is kind of how I met you. It's how we were at Heavy's when we used to do the bike show and everything, and you come up. I won that bike show there, and you come up and start talking to me, and that's how me and you became friends.
Yeah.
And then through that motorcycle. So.
I do remember that, and that's because I've always loved that bike.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that bike, and I am more old school than I am.
Yeah, so that bike kind of introduced me and you, and so it's kind of funny.
It is kind of funny how that is. As big as the world is, it gets really small at times. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's like, you know, to be able to talk to you, and then, you know, talking with you, and then it's like, oh, Super Dave. Oh, well, yeah.
Right.
Now, I knew a totally different Super Dave than what you knew.
Yeah.
But I'd heard a lot of stories, so I knew a lot of the stories, and then I learned a lot more of the stories, you know, from you and Chuck. But it is kind of weird how everything just intertwines.
Right.
It's pretty weird. It's cool how it just becomes a very small world.
Yeah.
As big as everything is.
Yep.
It's really cool. No, I love the fact that you guys ride some of the older stuff. God, it's hard to believe, but my bike is now considered some of the older stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, and to me, I still think of my bike as a fairly new bike. A buddy of mine just passed away about a year ago, and he used to, every time he goes, "Yeah, something about my new bike." I'm like, "Dude, you know that new bike is over 20 years old." That's like, it's not that new anymore. The thing's got 170,000 miles on it. It's not that new. But he always talked about my new bike. And it was like, now I look at it and it's like, shit, it's 24 years old. I don't know how old it has to be to get an antique plate.
I don't know.
25.
Is it 25?
I believe it's 25 in Indiana.
All right. You believe or you know? Come on, Cameraman Wes. Do you know or do you believe? Hey, Cameraman Wes, you remember that hotel we stayed in that didn't have a shower head?
Just a pipe coming
It's
in the wall.
just a pipe coming through the wall.
Turn the water on and hope it doesn't.
Hell, I probably stayed at it too then.
I thought that was back in the 1960s with the civil rights movements getting sprayed down by the police with a garden with the big fire hoses or something. It was like, yeah, that works.
At least you have water pressure.
Oh yeah.
The place we stay, we don't have water pressure.
We went down, for the very first time I ever did Deals Gap and rode the Dragon.
Yeah.
We were actually going to the Ohio State Hog Rally. Went out there, weather was crap. And we had another couple, they both rode their own bikes. And so the four of us, me and Cindy, and then this other couple, we left there. I was like, let's just, and it was kind of a traveling rally anyway, because you were hitting like a lot of the different Ohio capitals from the past. So you end up over in, I don't know if it was Marietta or, I always called it Gallipolis, but that's not how it's called. That's not what they actually call it. But that's what I've always called it. But anyway, we're over there. I was like, God, I'm tired of riding in the rain. I'm tired of this crappy ass weather. It's like, let's just head south for a little while. So we just headed south. The next thing I know, I'm on the Blue Ridge Parkway. And we're riding Blue Ridge Parkway on around. And so we ended up, we got to Deals Gap, and we ended up riding that from the south going north.
Okay.
And so we ended up in Maryville.
Yeah.
So you get up into Maryville, Tennessee. And I'm telling you guys, I'm getting the rooms. We're going to get our own rooms, because normally we would all share a room because that's just the way it was. And there's only a few couples that I will do that with, but they were one of those couples. And but I was like, no, let's get our own rooms. It's going to be nice. I got this. Yeah, this hotel looks great. We'll just stay there. I'm talking half-eaten bag of chips still sitting up on the shelf. It's like, is it tar? Is it dried blood? Hell, I don't know. And he's like,
I'm gonna go sleep on the freaking sidewalk.
my buddy Guy, he's like, can I use your bathroom? He goes, shit, I sat down on my crapper and the thing about fell over. I'm afraid to sit on there. So yeah, that was mine getting us a nice
Ours
place.
aren't that bad when I pick them out. They're.
Well, we've never had a shooter fall over.
Bet something's loose on the wall. It'll fall over.
Now I will say, even in Daytona, my uncle and I, back in '02, I met my uncle in Fort Myers. Then we rode up from there. I trailered down with a bunch of people from up here. We trailered down there. They all had a church they all went to. They used to live in Fort Myers, all that. I'm like, no offense, I can go to church at home. I can't ride my motorcycle at home this time of year. So we're going to take off and ride. So we went and re-rode. We ended up getting a hotel room in Daytona. And it was like, dear God, I got to put more clothes on before I lay down. And it was literally, we brought our sleeping bag, because we usually camp. We brought our sleeping bags in and left the linens, everything on the bed. And we slept in our sleeping bags on the two beds. Because it was like, I ain't touching nothing. I ain't walking barefoot in here. I'll end up with tetanus or something through here.
Me and Lynn went to Sturgis the very first time, the only time I went, but we went to Sturgis and we stayed in a place that it was like that. I mean, it was like you loaded the bed up with all your stuff, because if it was on the floor, something's probably going to crawl in it or carry it off.
Exactly.
And,
Exactly.
I mean, it was, and then Canada, we stayed in that one. It looked like they filmed pornos in it, but it was, that probably did. And
And if you had sex in that room, you're probably a porno star now, because they were probably filming that
He
too.
talked about the little off subject.
Funny you mentioned that.
I was talking about the
I'm
Blue
still
Ridge
getting residual
Parkway. When we took you on the elk tour.
oh my God.
Did you go on an elk hunt?
Well, yeah. We go down there. We go down there. We go over to Cherokee. We ride around stuff. We're coming back. Gunnar says
We're staying in Maggie Valley.
We're staying in Maggie Valley.
We stayed at.
and right down from Wheels Through Time. Go there if you've been there.
I have not been there, but yes.
Go there.
Yeah, it's.
And
I know him just through working with Bubba Blackwell. I know that guy from down there.
so we're over in Cherokee, and Gunnar says, because he had drove the truck down the year before or something.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, whatever, a few months, whatever it was. And he drove down the truck. He said, "We'll go see some elk." And I was like, "Yeah, I want to see elk, man. I'm down there, I don't have them in Indiana. Let's go see them." So he gets his directions mixed up, and we're on the bikes. And I just bought this dresser, and I'm not used to riding a dresser. Now I've got Lynn on the back with me. And I'm riding this dresser in North Carolina. Done took it on the trail, tail of the dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, another beer. And
Trail of the dragon.
yeah.
It's all right. We got Uber waiting for everything.
So we turn off on this road. We're going up there, and we're going up. And it's a gravel road. And I told Lynn, I said, surely the guy, because I know Gunner's on his Fat Boy. It's all custom bike. I said, he don't ever take that bike on this kind of stuff, He must have made a wrong turn. And we're going up, and it's 300 feet with no guardrail, and there's switchbacks with washboard, and we're going up this side of the mountain.
You see your tail light when you turn on some of these now. Yeah.
And I mean, and we're just steadily climbing. And I said, there's no way. So there's a little pull off. Lynn says, "We got to stop for a minute." She said, I got to pee. So we stop. and she's gonna kill me, but she's peeing on the side of the road. Well, there's cars coming there, not cars coming, Jeeps coming, because regular cars don't drive on this
side by side,
on this goat trail that we're on.
Yeah, side by side, they're all going, hell yeah!
Yeah, they're on, yeah, because I'm on a dresser on this road. So
what's it called?
Everything, we rode the tail of the dragon, in Kentucky they call it the eye of the dragon, is where it all starts at. They call that Nada Tunnel stuff. Mm-hmm. You ever been there, Nada Tunnel?
Yes.
They call that the eye of the dragon. The tail of dragons in North Carolina. We rode the Devil's Nutsack. Because this road we went on, I swear, I've got the map. I've got the map of this road. I found the map of the road we was on. And I'm going to have a shirt made up. Oh my God. We get up, we see elk. I mean, we see some big elk.
Well, the funniest thing, we get up there and we're like, surely the guy, we don't have to go back down. Like, I just made a wrong turn. So he goes up, starts talking to some of the locals. And he's like, how do we get back down? He's like, how'd you come in? They told us, we're like, well, we came in. He's like, yeah, you got to go back out that way. So now we're going down.
Yeah, I'd much rather be going up than down.
And you know what the bad thing was? Literally, where we was looking at the elk, this road that we was on, it comes up and it hits blacktop a little bit, and it's gravel. But where it ends at, that road dead ends up there. And there's a tree line. The blacktop that he was on when he went to see the elk was on the other side of the tree line. I could see it,
But
I couldn't get to it.
Anything connect.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit. All right, Wes, what'd you find out?
So a motorcycle is a classic, vintage, or antique at least 25 years old and looked the way it was intended to when first manufactured or built.
Only thing I've done to my bike is changing handlebars.
I think they intended to have handlebars.
So I've got different handlebars. Other than that, everything, I've kept my bike. I put a stage 1 kit on it.
Yeah.
A year later, because I wrecked my truck and they totaled it out, and so I got the money for it. So I went down.
Yeah,
and found
use it for something good.
So I went and I found another door for my truck for $300, and then the rest of it went into the bike. So I put a stage 1 kit on it, put some nice Samson mufflers on there, and that's all I've ever done to the bike. And then Crambo's, Chris Crampy, he ended up putting on, I put 16s on it and stuff, and he did that for me. That's the only. All right, so technically I'll be vintage next year.
and speaking of Crambo, shout out to Tucker down there for Crambo. Mm-hmm. He's a magician. He's great.
He's the only one I let touch my shovel head. So
is that right?
Yeah. He's the only one that I let touch it. So
yeah, they do.
Anything happens to that shovel, he goes, I'll call Tucker.
So
that's the way to do it. Oh man. Well, I'll tell you what. I probably ought to let you guys get going here. It's I know you've been out all day riding, and you got Uber sitting out there waiting on you guys now. So I know we got the message that they were there waiting for you. So we probably ought to let you guys go. Cameraman Wes, you got anything else?
Not a whole lot. Just make sure you check out Badass Beard Care. Go to their website, Facebook page. You can get a sample pack for just the shipping cost.
Nice. Yeah, I'm going to make sure that you guys both leave here with the little sample pack that I have for you guys. Man, I'm so glad. I am so glad that your great-great-great-great-great-grandfather killed all those people and had to get on the run.
Well, you know,
otherwise, we never would have met.
He rode the first Harley. You know that? he was back around the 1900s.
And it had real square wheels. Yeah, they weren't round.
He started the bug for us.
Yeah, that was the original Great Escape, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't Steve McQueen. It was great-great-great-great-great-great-grandpa Choate.
Great movie. Great movie.
So, I'm glad you guys came out. This was a lot of fun. I love talking about motorcycle trips. And it's funny because it does turn out some of the worst adventures you have on a motorcycle end up being the ones you talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Even a bad day on a bike, it's still a great day. It's, well, unless you're with Super Dave and you're picking him up with a helicopter and that kind of stuff. But
Yeah, been there. That was not good.
yeah, I know. I've loaded his bike in the back of my truck.
Right. All right. But that's when you know he is as old school as it gets. All he was concerned about, all right, now this is a man that's laying in the road, right? And I'm trying to hold him still so he can not move around because it was very obvious.
Yeah.
The whatever that big leg, that big bone in your leg, the femur, whatever it's called.
It was detached.
It was not where it was supposed to be. The arm should never have bent the way it was. It was like, dear God, I'm trying to hold. All he was worried about, don't you let them hang my motorcycle off the back of that truck. Don't you dare let that happen. I'm like, all right, we'll make sure that doesn't happen. And then, of course, I'm like, do whatever the hell you want with your motorcycle.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I picked him up off the road and it looked like Jello laying on the road, and all the thing he was worried about was him cutting his boot off.
Yeah. Well, they did because they cut his leather jacket off, and that was a new leather jacket. Yeah, it was a little pissed about that. No, I'm glad you guys came out.
Thanks for having us.
It's super fun to talk to you guys. Like I said, I really wanted both of you. It's only for this reason right here.
Yeah.
The stories are always hilarious. It's always fun to talk with you guys, but the fact that we have the two generations right here, you know what I mean?
Yep.
I'm not old enough to be in the other generation because he's almost my age, but I like seeing younger people involved. And of course, you're 32. You're not a kid by any means, but still, I like seeing younger people riding bikes. I mean, shit, you're riding around on a shovel. You're riding, you know what I mean? You've got all these motorcycles. You made sure you didn't marry your girlfriend and have babies with her. I'm saying you got your priorities in order. That's what I'm saying. I love to see.
Well, she's going to be mad when she watches
I'm
this.
just saying.
You know what, though? My daughter, she got married.
I heard about that.
Yeah, to a Martinsville, to a Martinsville police officer, and she made him buy a bike. so
Well, there we go.
I've raised them right.
You have done a good job. You have done a good
Been in the
job.
bloodline since 1900s, man.
Oh yeah, I know.
I'm just saying.
Choates.
I'm just saying. Yeah, they probably date way back down to the 1700s, back when it all started. All right, guys, man, thank you so much for being on here. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in on the podcast. Again, Badass Beard Care, Leidendorf Law, Leidendorf, Ajado, and Bigler and Badler than ever. We thank Crambos for what they do, and also for Roy Rogers Heating and Air. You know what they say, giddy up. But they don't really say that. I say it, but they don't really say it. So
thanks for PBR.
Yeah, and again, yes, thank you very much, PBR, picking up the cost on this podcast, and we really appreciate that, because this is what America is all about right here. Cold PBRs. Hey, what was it like to, I know we just signed off, but how nice was it to get here after riding and having ice cold beer in a cooler with air conditioning waiting for you when you got here.
That's
a good host right there.
Yeah,
That's a good
a
host.
little piece of heaven.
Yeah.
We rode down a few years ago. That's right, we're not done yet. Just stay put, sit down.
Go grab a PBR.
Just a PBR, yeah, really. Hey, Cameraman Wes. There you go.
Well, thank you,
That's what we're talking about.
Thank you.
Yeah, the Kardashians can wait. Watch us. This is more entertaining.
A few years ago, we got a chance to ride down to Muscle Shoals, Alabama. I'm an old blues guy. I love the old music. I loved Allman Brothers, all that stuff. And Muscle Shoals was where, I mean, the greatest music ever made, you know, was made down there. You know, I say it all the time. Gladys Knight never had a hit until Aretha Franklin, right? The Queen of Soul never had a hit until she recorded in Muscle Shoals. My dream was always to have a picture of me and my motorcycle in front of the Fame Studios down there. Finally got a chance to do that several years ago. We left there and we were riding. There's a road called the Natchez Trace. Have you guys ever come across it?
Yeah, you've told us about
Yeah,
it.
we haven't been on it.
Fantastic road. It's like riding through a state park or a national park. I think speed limit's 45, maybe 50. There's no traffic lights, no intersections, no nothing. Every now and then you'll see a sign saying, hey, if you want to go to this town, get off here, and then you'll hit another main road, you know what I mean? But we were coming home from there, and we were going to visit some friends that lived in Franklin, Kentucky. So that's right before you cross into Tennessee. So we were going back to their place, and we pulled up, and again, now it was hot. It was middle of summer. We were just sweltering hot. We get there, and my buddy had a cooler full of, he knew, now I have a tendency to lean towards the Mick Ultra. So he had a cooler full of Mick Ultra and the Sol Mexican beer, SOL. And because that's what our other buddy that was with us, that's what he likes. You know, and they had the wine that's in it, but it was all on ice. And I remember when we got there, and they were going to take us out to this place, whatever, to eat. And I was just looking at them like, dude, didn't you say your daughter's coming over here? He goes, yeah. I said, could she stop by Domino's or Little Caesars and just pick up some pizzas? I said, brother, I got ice cold beer right here. You had it waiting for me. I mean, we pull in the driveway and he's handed us these cold beers. I was like, oh my God, that was just, and that has stuck with me. And unfortunately, my friend passed away a year later, or not even a year later. It was that same year, and just a few months later. But that's something that always stuck with me. And I knew you guys were out riding. I knew you were putting in about 300 miles. I was like, you know, WWJD, what would Joe do? You know what Joe did? Joe made sure there was a cooler full of ice cold beers waiting when I got there and an air conditioned house. I was like, I'm going to make sure there's a cooler full of beer and everything for when you guys get here.
Well, and the Choates appreciate it
Very much. I need to go recycle some of this beer too.
Right? All right, man. We will call it a night. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning into the podcast. Thank you guys for being with us.
Yep.
Here's to many, many, many more rides and great memories.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
All
sir.
right, man. Steel Horse Thunder is out.